Greetings, sirs and madams. I'm Safi'Jiiva, and all of my lance upgrade plans are out the damn window. So it turns out Safi lances are absolutely amazing, and here's a quick screenshot of my build. There's a lot of stuff going on here, so I'm not going to type it out. But basically, guard 5, guard up. You need that brace jewel to avoid tripping from your allies. And I have some fire resist gemmed in to avoid all the fire blight. You're going to be set on fire every 5 seconds otherwise. The weapon I'm using is the Anti-Safi'Jiiva Dragon Lance, and I have it tuned for natural purple sharpness because I just hate putting handicraft on my builds for whatever reason. But yeah, having Chaucer technique on there is pretty cool. And I know a lot of you guys are going to give me grief for, trying to teach you guys how to hunt Safi, like while I'm using a Safi weapon, but you're sort of supposed to use the siege weapons on the siege because you actually gain awakening points for using these weapons against them. So yeah, you're supposed to destroy the Safi'Jiiva using the Safi'Jiiva. Okay, so this is an example of a hunt where we actually slay Safi'Jiiva. So he's already retreating from the first area because we already drained the energy from this platform. So yeah, so these first two areas are going to go by fast, and we're just going to chase them all the way to the bottom. Yeah, I'm trying to still figure out, what are the best mantles to use, really. I'm still using Rocksteady and Temporal just because you can't really attack this monster without tenderizing it. And these mantles, they just give you safer openings to do tenderize. Except, when you're using Rocksteady, yeah, you can avoid, being knocked off from attacks, and you can avoid roars, but you can still get pinned. Yes, and Safi has a lot of very, very horrific pin attacks. And I think in the last area, there's actually... you can actually get pinned from rocks falling on your head, so that's a whole different mess too. Okay, so I have been doing a lot of farming against Safi'Jiiva, and I can't tell if I'm doing good damage yet. Of all the lances I've built, the Dragon Lance seems to be the highest damage output out of all the elements. I still need to test Blast and Poison, and maybe Paralysis. And then when it comes to parts, gosh, yeah, still looks like the forearms are the best target. You can kind of damage the head, but it's gonna be very dangerous to attack the head. You're gonna get pinned and beamed a lot, and it's just wiggling around so much. I'm not really sure if a lance can really keep up with the fast head movements. And I have cut the tail before, but it is an incredible amount of work. The tail actually isn't even a weak point after you tenderize it. And a big problem is his hind legs. If you don't have them tenderized, you'll actually bounce on white sharpness. So I highly recommend that you do not enter this hunt with white sharpness. At least have purple. Natural purple is best, but if you want to stick handicraft on your build, you go ahead and do that. Yeah, but yeah, definitely get purple sharpness for this hunt. Do not try to use white, because you're gonna have to use lance charges a lot to close distance and reposition. And if you're gonna bounce on white, his hind legs get in the way all of the time, so that's gonna make things very challenging. Okay, so yeah, generally I found that Lance, you're pretty much gonna attack his forelegs. And yeah, I mean, I feel like my damage output is low, but I'm pretty consistently getting Safi's attention, meaning that I am the person doing the highest damage output out of my teammates. And I know I did sacrifice Offensive Guard for Part Breaker, and I can't really tell if that's effective yet, because yeah, I think I know the fight well enough to where I can actually make use of Offensive Guard pretty consistently now, but breaking the parts on this monster is absolutely horrific. It's I can be wailing on one arm for the entire 20 minutes, and it just doesn't break. And I'm starting to think that it's very difficult to get part breaks unless like you have multiple like hunters attacking the same part, which is part of the reason why I'm using the brace jewel. Like normally, like I would just avoid like being tripped by my teammates with good positioning, but the fact that you have to have so many people attacking one part at a time to try to break it is just, that's just too much. So I recommend just go ahead and put the brace jewel on your armor. Okay, and there's a lot of different ways to respond to his attacks, and yeah, what I find is like one of the most dangerous things about Safi'Jiiva is all the wind pressure he causes from a lot of his moves, and I've tried to memorize those moves to try to block the wind pressure. Oh jeez. Yeah, in the third area there are these green gas traps, and I guess since I have his attention, I'm gonna lure him into those. Yeah, they do like 1,000 damage per explosion. They're pretty useful, and sometimes they can knock him down too. Yeah, so if you have Safi's attention, definitely do that. It's very helpful for your team. Okay, so yeah, like the team makeups so far have been very strange. I know it's just the first weekend and people are like still learning the roles and all that. For Lance, like, you know, stick to the forearms. You can cut the tail, but it only really works if somebody else has the dragon's attention and is keeping it facing the same direction. Because if Safi's just spinning around the whole time, cutting his tail is going to be really impossible for a Lance player. Oh yeah, that like a lot of his like other things cause wind pressure too, and you know, if you get annoyed enough with the wind pressure, you might actually just go ahead and build for wind resistance, and that might make this a lot less annoying. Okay, so now that Safi is in super critical state, you can actually hit his chest now. And pretty much, as far as I can tell, Lance is one of the best choices for doing this, because you can pretty much just upstab right into his chest. And as far as I can tell, you can't tenderize the chest, but the damage you get on it in super critical is pretty much, it looks like it's higher than any other hit zone that you could hit, even if it's tenderized. So yeah, definitely a good target choice for Lance's. Okay, we got his attention again. Yeah, and if you get enough hits on the chest, like he will fall over. It's pretty much the same as Arch-Tempered Xeno'jiiva, and then the chest is also a break. I find that you can break the chest if you focus on it every time he's in super critical mode. And I think I've done it where I was the only individual attacking the chest. So it helps to have teammates helping you, but you can actually accomplish this solo, like when you're on a team. So yeah, part breaks on this monster are incredibly difficult. Like I do want to explore, like is part breaker worth the point investment, or should I stick with offensive guard for more raw damage? Or like maybe I can switch to a blast lance, because I think blast generally does a much better job of breaking parts on other monsters, but for this guy it's kind of hard to be sure. But yeah, like so far I'm just using this dragon lance because it's the one I'm most comfortable with so far. Yeah, and this attack right here, it's the one that sets you on fire all the time, so yeah, that's why I have fire resist on. And his, I think his pin attack also causes fire. Yeah, this attack right here is very hard to deal with. I find that, so yeah, I have guard 5, and just blocking it or guard advancing it, like you still get knocked back. And you can also get knocked back into the other waves of explosions. So what I recommend you do is you actually raise a counter against the first explosion. And the knockback will cause your counter to fail. Like, we'll do that right here. Oh, it missed me. I don't know how that happened. It was just a timing thing. But anyway, so that explosion will break your counter. But whenever your counter is broken, there's no pushback. it just breaks your stance. So that way you won't get pushed backwards into the other explosion. So that's a much safer way to deal with that. Okay, nailed him right in the chest, and he's fallen over. Yeah, and I find that for some reason in this posture, up stabs just don't work very well. Like, he has like a ton of hitboxes just kind of mushed together. So I just use like forward stabs and like lance charges. Well, there's his pin attack. Oh, I think he actually grabbed somebody. It's usually me getting grabbed by like every single one of those. It's horrible. Yeah, so I think this attack will it will bring your teammate down to 0 HP, so make sure you throw a life powder before they hit the ground. That way it'll save you like a cart. So yeah, that's probably the #1 thing you gotta watch out during the siege, that when people are pinned, that you try to save them. Yeah, if you guys have not farmed for the materials for Dust of Life yet, I highly recommend you do that. Okay, we got the chest break. Okay, and one of my allies is being targeted, and it looks like Safi's almost ready to be slain because you can see the skull on the map. Oh god, one of our guys got pinned again. Okay, so there's that green gas trap on the right, and so I don't know if our guys really know about that. It's, the siege is very new, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a burst attack to claim enmity or aggro from Safi. And so, since I have aggro and I know about the gas explosion mechanic, I'm going to try to, I'm going to claim aggro to try to pull him over here. But, sometimes Safi, he's just busy doing other bullshit, so... Okay, we're going to wait for the explosion to go off. Yeah, I wish they would sort of mute the sharpening sound effect during that, because it kind of ruins the dramatic effect. Okay, nailed him. Okay, and he fell over. Nice. Okay, since... Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, I already broke the chest, so I figured, I'll just hit the head while he's down. But, yeah, he is dead. Yeah, that was a pretty good hunt. Yeah, so let's go ahead and carve this bitch. Yeah, so Safi does have eyeballs. They're kind of hard to see. But they're really close together, weirdly enough, in his skull. I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't know. What do I know about reptile skulls? Wait, is it a reptile? Reptiles don't really have 6 limbs. Elder dragon skulls? I'm kind of rambling now. But yeah, that was a pretty good hunt. My team did pretty well. Maybe they could have done a better job of breaking other parts. Dual blades have a really easy job of cutting tails and breaking backs. They can just leap off of ledges and just, go to blunder mode down the back, and that does pretty good for breaking the back. But yeah, lances, you're gonna focus on the forearms, and super critical, you're gonna be the ones breaking the chest. Yeah, I kind of wish that it was more like Cuvée, where you can just break whatever you're focused on, but yeah, I guess, yeah, having weapon-specific roles is going to make this more challenging. Anyway, guys, that's sort of it for my thoughts on the Safi Siege so far. There's probably going to be more stuff to discuss in the future, but yeah, just leave a comment below if you have any questions or thoughts. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.